And nice day outside in Florida for May, and what we're looking at today is not mine. This actually belongs to my church. We just got this great deal on this Livestream CPU, which includes the studio software. I just finished nothing exciting, updating from Windows 7 to 10. The previous owner had installed a bunch of bloatware on it. I think they were just using it as a normal CPU and not really even streaming from it because it ran so slow in 7, and I updated it to 10 and put the newest software in, and yeah, it's running much more happier than it was before. So this is again not mine, but I'm going to take it apart anyways because I need to check to see if there's any dust buildup or anything in there. So from what I can see on the screws, and hopefully I don't lose any because these are tiny for this, and this is a nice solid metal case. You got basically 2 USB ports in the front. You got reset and power buttons there. And Livestream stopped selling these a while ago, and they have different models now. And on the back, wow, look at all these inputs. Yeah, I thought maybe this would be interesting. Still got PS2 connections. You got your VGA, your DVI, HDMI, USB 3.0, something called USB DAC up. I think when I installed Windows 10, it couldn't figure out what this was, so it is what it is. And somebody got some marker on there, but I'm going to get that off because why not? Because that just looks awful. You got your, it doesn't have wireless, but it does have wired Ethernet for streaming, obviously. And then 2 more, looks like USB ports, and then a bunch of audio connectors, including, looks like a digital out plug there too. And then these are actually, which is funny because it's made by Livestream, these are actually Blackmagic does their own software thing. These are actually Blackmagic, I think it's 3 in and 1 out on these cards, if I'm not mistaken. Over here you got your hard power switch, your D plug, 115 are selecting your voltage, and your fan over here. And that's about the excitement of this box on the outside. Let's continue to take this apart and hopefully not lose any screws. These screws are tiny. Crazy eyes. It will take forever to try to find these screws. And all I'm doing really, I'm not doing any changes in it or anything. We're just going to have a look on the inside because I want to make sure there's no dust buildup or anything's weird on it, because this unit is a few years old. You want to make sure that there's not too much dust in there. And oh man, it isn't, holy cow, this thing actually looks at it. And I believe this is an 8-core i7. If you ask me, if you wanted to know the exact model, I'm not really sure. It is decked out with 32 gigs of RAM. I'm not going to touch anything on the inside. Well, I am going to ground myself on the case. I don't have an anti-static, but what I do want to see is these stickers are coming off, and I really don't want them to fall on anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and take these stickers off of here because nothing good can happen with stickers falling off of stuff onto other parts of the computer. That could have just been from heat or storage, or maybe had this in a storage bin somewhere, storage locker or whatever. I'm not even going to bother with the sticky stuff. I probably should, but I really don't want to mess with too much here. And these cards are really small. These Blackmagic cards are, sometimes we call Blackmagic something else that starts with a C, because I don't know, their stuff is okay for as cheap as it is. It can be, but it's just like, I don't know, sometimes it's just, it feels like they're still like operating like they're in the ancient times. That just, you know. So we got those stickers off, and I'm not going to peel anything else off. And you can see a good look at the motherboard here, and I mean the crazy amounts of inputs, and looks like a pretty solid board from what I can tell. I mean, you tell me, make a comment and see. It's got dual fans. Everything is clean, so I am not going to clean a thing or touch a thing on the inside. I just want to pull this apart and take a look at it. It does have apparently 2 hard drives, and it looks like there is a solid state drive installed. I know I'm not wearing anti-static, and I shouldn't even be touching this. This looks to me like, yeah, it is a Samsung SSD. Looks like a 250, and then there is a, what I refer to as a spinner drive underneath there. That's mainly going to be for storing the video. We're also going to be streaming, but it also stores the video locally onto a D drive, which is this one. And I'm going to suggest maybe we update that, since we have a little more money from a big donation we got to help the streaming thing out. So, and I'm not going to say the name of my church, but just for privacy's sake. But yeah, this I'm not I'm never, if you know me in any of my retro computers, that's one of the first things I try to get rid of, because inevitably they fail. I know solid states can, but it's just one of those things. So in the next section of this video, and we're going to keep this hopefully somewhat brief. We'll brief. Well, brief. We'll keep this brief, and we'll power this puppy on and see what it's all about and see what it can do, because it actually is a quite amazing machine. And believe it or not, you can make a live stream machine out of a laptop or even a normal computer. The big difference is here, this is more custom made, and I don't see anything overly custom other than the fact they added these cards, which isn't really that custom. And I'm not sure about this portion, which looks like maybe more of a media type thing that may have been used for, considering all the different inputs. And again, I'd like to know more about this USB DAC up, because from when I upgraded from 7 to 10, I just cannot find the drivers. I think it says for this, it's just some kind of weird error. I'll show it in the next portion of the video. Anyhow, let's move on to the next section. Okay, here we go. Livestream Studio. I believe it's the HD50. I'm not exactly sure when this came out, but yeah, I booted this computer up, and I'm going to save you that part. It booted up super quick. When I first got it, it had Windows 7 on it and a bunch of ridiculous software that the previous owner had put on there that like has no business on a live switching video computer. I mean, you really want to keep them as clean as possible. So that's just my opinion, and from what I've experienced in the last 10 years of doing this kind of thing, and I do live production, so very familiar with the software. I've used it for years. I've used the Blackmagic, I've used the vMix, I've used the OBS, all great stuff, but it's just, this one just has, when you see the screen when it powers up, and it just screams professional quality, but there's some issues, especially on the Mac side of it. This is the PC, obviously, so let's just see what pulls up. And what I pre-programmed everything into this, so the camera should recognize right away, and everything should just be good to go. First thing I noticed, it didn't maximize for whatever reason, but it's no big deal. We can just do that. And I turned the cams on, but for some reason, okay, everything is up and running, and as you can see in the left monitor, which I'll move over to the right monitor, which this is your output or your program. This is your preview. If you ever worked in live type environments, that's usually your normal setup, and in using professional type software. I consider this almost professional. There's some bugginess with it on the Mac side. The PC side, I find it's okay, but there's a couple little things with, and also, we're using wireless cameras. And just illustrate right here. This is a Mevo Camera. It's the Mevo Start, which we just got these recently for my church, and very cool cameras compared to the other Mevo Plus or Mevo whatever ones we had, because they have the NDI, but I'm not using the NDI, and I've noticed there's a few weird little bugs with it. Sometimes it connects, sometimes it doesn't, and I may not even turn that camera on for all I know. It may be behind me, or I'm not even sure where I put camera 4. But oh no, this is camera 3, so it's somewhere where I put it. I think I put it over by the bird area, and there's a couple wireless cameras in the bird area, so maybe that's what's happening. And you can use 2 different settings on these. You can use the Mevo wireless situation, or you can use the NDI, and that's just a matter of switching it over to the NDI protocol. I'm not going to get into technical stuff of it, but yeah, there you go. So there's the live view on camera 1, and if I want to go to camera 2, which is my keyboard, and just kind of like, okay, what's going on here? And there's my previews. That would go live, or live to record. And then I want to go to camera 3, which is just on my laptop, just kind of sitting there. Yeah, there it is. And you also have some graphics channels, which you can punch up on your keyboard, or you can get this actual control surface unit too, which they're not sponsored, so I'm not gonna, unless they want to become a sponsor, I'm not going to show all their components. I think this is more than enough for now. But it is a nice piece of software because you can just go in and just stream stuff, and the authorization's not there right now because it's one of those situations where sometimes it logs out when you've logged out, and you just got to sign back in again, and it'll stream it straight to YouTube. And I have tried the streaming function, and if you just want to record, do a full production, better than I got to say it's better for the older generation understands, but the newer generation may not. Sometimes in certain events, if you're covering something that lasts an hour, 2 hours, and you're running 3-4 cameras in different angles, it can be an issue trying to put all that together, sync the cameras, do all this crazy stuff. And this is where this comes in. This allows you to basically take it all, put it in a package, put a bow on it, and say it is done. And yeah, it does graphics and it does everything. You can do lower thirds, and it has this whole graphics package thing that you can set different things and make lower thirds and do all this neat stuff. And they even have a little graphics store where you can find your lower thirds, as you can see there on the screen, and different ones. So if I wanted to add that, I'm not gonna, because this is one of my prime setups and I really don't want to add anything to it, but they got all kinds of different options that super easy. Just go in and it's got its own little editor and you do that. And then there's different ways you can bring in graphics if you want to, use the channels over here, or if you actually want to bring them in the other way. And yeah, you can hot punch too, but generally in video production, you don't want to do that. Generally, you don't want to just hit that because you don't know what's going on the camera, and you want to make sure whoever you're going to or what camera you're going to, they're prepared. But yeah, that's the software. And well, let's go through a few other things real quick. Your go live button. So once you get your stream set up, you can just hit go live and it will record locally, and it will also if you don't want to go live, you can also record the function and then just take the file and send it up afterward. It does have a lot of settings in it that are just amazing. That we have it streamed optimized. We use 24 frame, which it says 25, but technically 24. You do all types of inputs. I mean, the input functionality is just, I can add local cameras. It does have SDI and HDMI in. There's 3 inputs and 1 output. As I pointed out earlier, the remote cameras are obviously the ones I have connected now. You can add remote guests. So if they just download the software, you can have it come in that way. RTMP and RTSP URLs, live stream events. I mean, it's pretty well packed. And it says GFX limit is reached because I have 3 channels and it only allows for 3 graphics channels. But then you can do multiple layers of those graphics and have all your stuff ready to go. And ideally, if you have 2 screens, you can have one where somebody's doing stuff and then the other person acts as an engineer and graphics person and has all the graphics and just change them out as they need to in that function, which is really nice. I mean, then you can change your transitions if you want some old school stuff, and you kind of use fades for going in and out of graphics and cuts for cameras. So simple, easy peasy, and that's kind of the way I like to keep things. And yeah, it works really well. I mean, overall, I've been using this for probably 2.5 years, and I guess this is probably one of my favorites. vMix probably my second favorite, and then I'll probably go with OBS as my. But I know that the other camera, another company, NewTek, is coming along with their tech as well. And Blackmagic, I'm not going to say too much about it. I just feel like they're still operating like they're in the 1990s. I mean, they got some decent stuff, and I mean, this even uses Blackmagic capture cards, so there's something to be said there that, yeah, stuff does work. But again, in our church, we can only do wireless tech because of the way the cost would just be prohibitive to do anything else. I'm just jumping through camera angles, and the one you see is my finger. And I think I said earlier, I did another take of this. The delay, there's a 1-second delay. It's to sync everything up and make sure that voices aren't off or people's mouths are not. The software actually has the capability to do that. And it says slow, yes, because my actual wireless connection here at home is very overloaded with lots of tech that just kind of, between the security cameras and everything else going on, it's one of those things. And over here we have all your audio mixers. This one is set up for basically like an XLR input, which you use just like a little box that hooks up via USB, and you plug your XLR into it, good to go. You can use the camera's audio, and you have a couple different options with that, and you can also add other types of playback, as I may have not shown, but you can actually do media playback, which that would be if you have a file you want to play back and it shows up as a source like all these other cameras, and say you want to play a quick video in the middle of a presentation that you're doing live, then bam, you just hit that and there you go. Yeah, it's a fun little piece of software, and it is fun to use, and there's probably a lot I didn't get into, but let's just go back through the settings, because I did kind of break out of that after the inputs thing. But outputs, you can do NDI if you want to monitor from an iPad or whatever, you can do that, and as long as you're on the same network, and you do it wirelessly, of course, because that's what NDI is all about. This is recording to our D drive, which is a recorder drive they set up. As you saw earlier, there's 2 drives, so we're not going to record anything on the C drive. That's bad. Don't want to do that. There it is. Oh, right there. It's right in front of me. That's your, if you want to just have a simple thing that you don't want to have the confusing keyboard they give you, you can actually use an actual Surface unit, which has the buttons that light up and everything, and that's really neat too. And I don't have that here with me right now, but it is one of those cool things you can look up if you are interested, and there's all your settings, where I do have it delayed so that things sync up a little bit better. But other than that, and you can stream 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with this software, and I have, and it works pretty well. I mean, like I said, there's been a few bugs here and there, but they've fixed most things. And lastly, it's just going to one of the cooler functions and going back out to camera 1, that there is one neat thing you can do where it has this crop function where you can actually set up different framings of the camera, and you're going to lose a little bit of resolution in it, but you can actually, if you want to jump in, then it'll jump into that section of video, and it doesn't look half bad. I mean, most of the streaming I do, it's usually 720 because that's good enough. But yeah, that's a neat little thing. It's almost like you have one camera, but you can use it as 4 as well. And these Mevo cameras actually are capable of doing that and so much more. And I think there's actually a program out now I've been looking at that you can actually control multiple Mevo cameras rather than just one, and it's like a little mini switcher program, which if there's an interest, I'll feature it in a future video. That is it for now, and if you like the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you hated this, then, well, look at my other videos, because there may be something interesting that you may want to take a look at. We'll catch you next time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you later.